What's up, traders? Matt from the Trade Brigade here doing a technical analysis on ticker symbol SNAP for Snapchat Inc. On the left-hand side, we have the daily time frame, and on the right-hand side, the 30-minute intraday time frame. First things first, this will, of course, be an update. You can see some of our older levels in the past are no longer really in play. Let's clear the drawing set and start from scratch with a brand new daily roadmap here. Again, I always just show you myself doing that so you know it's okay to start from scratch with a technical drawing. You always want to be looking at a chart with clarity instead of clutter. So that's what I would roughly point out. Again, that's much easier on the eyes here, clearly denoting that we do have lower highs, lower high here as well. And on today's session, kind of an equal low, roughly at around 38.40. So let's also put that on there, noting that we had a hammer bounce off of it from in the past. If this 38.50, 38.40-ish area starts to break, what do we have as support underneath us? It's going to require getting a little bit more time on our charts here. We'll go with like a 4-year, should be plenty. There we go. And what do we have underneath? So we're kind of sitting right actually a very important area of support. If I were to extend this to the left, there we go. You can see if I zoom in over here, look at that, big shelf of support from right around here. And we also have, this is fairly concerning, a large gap underneath roughly 34.50s all the way down to 28.90, let's call it 29 even, right? That's a pretty substantial downside move if that gap underneath us were to fill. Now, I'm not saying it has to fill over the course of the next couple weeks or anything like that. I just want to be aware that this area here is essentially a gap. There's nothing there to support us. So in knowing that, I would just do one last thing from the daily, which is, of course, a resistance trend line coming in for something like that, almost coinciding with what the 50 SMA is doing as of right now. What I'll point out about this, right, in terms of how this has unfolded, just notice on our most recent sort of dead cat bounce, we did not make it to the resistance trend line. So that would be an indication that the buyers are either not interested in the stock as much as they used to be, or the sellers are just clearly overpowering them, right? There's a bigger distance here between the bounce and the trend line as opposed to what we had for the initial trend when it was established. So a little bit more bearish than bullish out here inside of Snapchat, no doubt about it. Let's take a closer look at what unfolded on today's session. A gap down, yes, and then a gap and go, right? So there was an attempt to fill some of it, but no acceptance from the buyers, ultimately closing dead on the lows here at that important level we denoted from the daily time frame. Let's quickly take out the Fibonacci's from the high all the way down to the first major set of lows, we can call it here. We did resist at the 38.2, even if I were to do something like this, actually. So there's technically the low of the green candle that gave it an opportunity to bounce. Didn't come into the 38.2 there. We know it's a bearish day out there. Let's just do the deal. Come in from the high all the way down to the low. That's going to give us our 38.2 on the day and essentially establish a range for bear flag consolidation to continue. We'll go ahead and zoom in on this now. So anything that happens below 39.50, bearish. We're looking for the breakdown underneath 38.50 for new lower lows to take us closer to 34.51. We know that. That's the bear setup here inside of Snapchat, just continuing this daily downtrend. Where do things change, though, back to the upside? Well, if we can immediately recapture that 39.50 and start getting price acceptance above, starts to become, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but a bit of an inverted head and shoulders, just signaling that, hey, we may put in a little bit of a higher low here. Let's see if we can be constructive and at least get it up closer to 43.50. Now, for more convincing longs, I would want to see that level recaptured, and the target would be the resistance trend line. Now, it doesn't look like that's a likely scenario based on the structure that's unfolding here and everything that we've talked about in the video thus far, but it's one thing to have sort of packed away in the back of your brain that, hey, if Snapchat does ultimately make it up towards 43.50s, there's potential that we at least make the move into the resistance trend line, and from there, you would reevaluate the chart. That's all I've got for you today in Snapchat. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything new, let me know in the comments section or by giving the video a thumbs up. Don't forget our main channel is linked in the description, and all of that being said, I wish you a green trading week.